Imagine a world where every child has the gift of childhood, where all our young people have the opportunity to learn and to work, and where our senior citizens can look forward to a happy and secure and safe retirement, where no one is homeless and no one goes hungry. Imagine a world without poverty. Chronic hunger is on the increase. 1 in 7 of our population lives with hunger. That's approximately 925 million across the world. And I put it to you that one of the biggest moral and ethical challenges facing us today is the challenge of poverty and its consequences. Let me share with you some statistics. At least 80% of humanity lives on less than $10 a day. And according to UNICEF, 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. And they die quietly in some of the poorest villages on earth, far removed from the scrutiny and the conscience of the world. And for every dollar in aid a developing country receives, over $25 is spent on debt repayment. But we don't have to go that far away. We don't have to pretend that poverty doesn't exist in our own community. Here in Northern Ireland, West Belfast has the second highest level of child poverty in the UK. In 2010-11, there were 350,000 people living in relative poverty and 232,000 people in absolute poverty in Northern Ireland. And of that number, over 13% of children were in absolute poverty. That equates to 59,000 children, and 37,000 of our pensioners are living in absolute poverty. And sometimes the scale of the task can just be so overwhelming, we wonder, what can we do? In recent weeks, we have seen the success of comic relief, and in this Lenten season, we know that Trócaire too will be expecting that the donations from the people of Ireland raise even higher, even in these difficult times, than last year. The Irish people, after all, are known for their generosity, and perhaps that has something to do with the historic legacy of the famine here on these shores. As a politician, I have a particular responsibility that demands that I actually give a voice to those who are most marginalised, to those who live on the edge of society. I have a responsibility to ensure that government is transparent, so that we know and you know how each pound is spent. I also have a responsibility to ensure that legislation and indeed our social policies are just. But you too have a responsibility. Martin Luther King once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." So what more can we do, and why should we do it? If compassion and our common humanity is not enough, then perhaps the examples of how our young people are drawn into violence and by the bigotry and sectarianism because they're living on the edge of society. They're seduced by those who want to use violence. We heard, and how could I follow the story of Kate Carroll? Her husband was murdered in my constituency. One of the people convicted of that murder was only 17 years of age at the time of the murder. What did he know about our conflict and our troubled past? So there is an imperative to deal with the causes of poverty, if not for the people who are experiencing the worst consequences in terms of their life chances, their right to an education, their right to food, or indeed the right to a fulfilled life, then surely as a society we have a challenge to face down poverty so that we can all live in peace and prosperity. Another one of my great idols is Nelson Mandela. And he once had the great clarion cry, and I hope that he does recover shortly in hospital. I believe he was admitted earlier today. He once said that, why don't we be part of the generation that eradicates poverty? Wouldn't it be great? Could you not imagine if you were part of that generation that ends poverty? Thank you.